I'd like to call this meeting to order for the regular session of the Blackhawk County Board of Supervisors for September 12th, 2023. Roll call, please, Mr. Veeder.
Hall.
Here.
Little.
Here.
Schwartz.
Here.
Jelka.
Here.
Leyland.
Here. Would everyone please join us for a moment of silence as we reflect on our actions here today? Thank you. Would you please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 1 is the agenda received as proposed or as amended.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Agenda is received. Public comments. Is there anyone in the audience today that would like to speak on something that is not on today's agenda? Is there anyone on Zoom that would like to speak today? Seeing and hearing none, we'll move on to claims and payments. This is a resolution that the Board of Supervisors approve expenditures and that the county auditor be authorized and directed to issue checks against the various settlement of such claims as allowed.
So moved. Second.
Good morning, Board.
Good morning.
We have a pretty large bill payment today. The total is $5,419,572.42. And the portion for the 60/40 fund is $2,622.59. Most of the bill payment today is one amount going to the Blackhawk County Solid Waste Commission for the net proceeds from the bond sale. So that amount is $4,830,117.03, reduced by $2,500, which is an administration fee that we are charging them for handling all the paperwork for them. We also had one other larger purchase for network switches of $172,537.48. And other than that, things look pretty routine.
Thank you.
Yep.
Are there any questions? Hearing none, this is a resolution. Please answer as your name is called.
Hall.
Yes.
Little.
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes.
Jelka.
Yes.
Leyland.
Yes. Item 4, receive project updates from department heads and elected officials.
Good morning, Board. Kathy Nicholas, County Engineer. I wanted to tell you about 2 road closures that we have going on right now, and they're both due to bridge work. The first one is on Rice Road Bridge, and that's south of Dunkerton Road and north of Big Rock Road, so between the two roads there, and it's 2 miles east of Dunkerton Road. That is closed for our bridge crew to demolish the existing bridge and replace it with a new bridge. I believe you've gotten a couple phone calls about that bridge. That currently has 45 vehicles per day. We do anticipate it being closed for about 6 to 8 weeks. And then Dunkerton Road Bridge is now closed of the Wapsipinicon Bridge. This is a contract bridge with Boulder Contracting. That is a 50 working day contract. They just moved in late last week. That bridge carries about 500 vehicles per day. I know this is getting to be a busy time of year with fall harvest coming up, but unfortunately we need to keep replacing our bridges. We do place notifications on the state 511 site. These are go out to our service bureau, the Iowa County Engineers Association Service Bureau, to notify the public. We would encourage people to sign up for those notifications so you can receive that information firsthand. It is also on our website. And then last Friday, or late last week, we also placed our message boards out on Dunkerton Road to warn the public that Dunkerton Road would be closing soon, yesterday, and then it would be closed for probably 10 weeks, 8 to 10 weeks, excuse me. Can I answer any questions about this? If you receive any calls, please direct them to me or let me know and I can help you answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Any other department heads? Good morning.
Morning, Board. Nate Neff, Jail Administrator. Just wanted to give an update on the medical RFP process. The bids were due at noon this last Friday. As you know, I'd reached out to about 8 or 10 companies early when the process went out, when the bid went up for posting. Unfortunately, only 2 of those responded that they'd be replying, which was ACH, Advanced Correctional Healthcare, and NAFCare, which are the 2 pretty much throughout this process that we've been expecting to get a bid from. So they arrived for the pre-bid meeting, as did Elevate, your local company. When the bids came due last Friday, I'd received the bids from ACH and NAFCare on Thursday. Elevate's bid came in actually after the deadline had passed, so I talked to Bob Lincoln and explained to him that it was past the deadline, and he said he understood, and that was his mistake on his part. We'd originally advertised that we were going to open those bids today. I think we'll push that back 1 week, and we'll get that on next week's agenda and open them then. So, but right now we've got the 2 bids to open next week.
Thank you, Nate. Any questions for Nate? Anyone else? Anyone on Zoom? Seeing, hearing none, we'll move on to minutes approved for September 5th, 2023.
So moved. Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. Later today, we have hearings for the purchase of 2 single-axle dump trucks and 1 tandem axle dump truck, as well as a hearing for the purchase of 1 tractor with a boom mower. Item 7 is consent agenda. Following items are acted upon by a single resolution unless someone wishes to discuss one of the items.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Please answer as your name is called.
Little,
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes.
Jelka,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Leyland.
Yes. Item 8, contracts and agreements. This is a resolution that the contract received from NeoGov for applicant tracking and onboarding system software with an implementation and training support cost of $5,000 and annual subscription rate of $10,087 for year 1, $15,310.50 for year 2, and $20,174 for year 3, as recommended by Amanda Fesenmeyer, HR Director.
So moved. Second.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So if you recall, this is just a formal action for the best bid that was awarded to NeoGov back on August 8th. Again, the applicant tracking system that we currently have is sunsetting due to Civic HR being purchased. So any questions at all? I just want to say thank you to Attorney Mike Trinan. He spent a lot of time working on this to make sure that the integrity of it and the county's best interests were protected with the online information of applicants and their information as well as the onboarding for those that transition into new hire and their information get loaded into our payroll system. But we're very excited about this. It's a widely used tool throughout a lot of public sector agencies across the state, especially those that use Tyler technologies like we do with our payroll system. So any questions at all? Thank you.
Thank you. This is a resolution. Please answer as your name is called.
Schwartz.
Yes.
Jelka,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Little,
Yes.
Leyland.
Yes. Item 9, other business. Resolution that the tax sale certificate assignment for vacant lot Mayfair Lot 382 pursuant to 446.31 of the Code of Iowa be approved and said certificate of purchase of tax sale be assigned to Timothy and Jacqueline Becker as recommended by Linda Hinsman, Blackhawk County Treasurer.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions for Linda? Or, no, she's here. Please answer as your name is called.
Jelka,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Little,
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes.
Leyland.
Yes. Item B, resolution that the tax sale certificate assignment for vacant lot, unplatted property, Waterloo East pursuant to 446.31 of the Code of Iowa be approved, and said certificate of purchase of tax sale be assigned to Alan Jackson, owner of Flipping J LLC, as recommended by Linda Hinsman, Blackhawk County Treasurer.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Please answer as your name is called.
Hall,
Yes.
Little,
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes.
Jelka,
Yes.
Leyland.
Yes. Item C, resolution that the compromise offered in the amount of $500 by Alan Jackson, owner of Flipping J LLC, on taxes owed for vacant lot parcel 8913-10431-002, unplatted property, Waterloo East, be approved.
So moved.
Second.
It's been Moved and seconded. Please answer as your name is called.
Little,
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes.
Jelka,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Leyland.
Yes. Item D, resolution that the tax sale certificate assignment for vacant lot Cloverdale Acres Lot 11 pursuant to 446.31 of the Code of Iowa be approved and said certificate of purchase of tax sale be assigned to Alan Jackson, owner of Flipping J LLC, as recommended by Linda Hinsman, Blackhawk County Treasurer.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Please answer as your name is called.
Schwartz.
Yes.
Jelka,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Little,
Yes.
Leyland.
Yes. Item E, resolution that the compromise offered in the amount of $500 by Alan Jackson, owner of Flipping J LLC, on taxes owed for vacant lot Cloverdale Acres Lot 11 be approved.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Please answer as your name is called.
Jelka,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Little,
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes.
Leyland.
Yes. Item F, motion that the personnel requisition for the Human Resources intern temporary in the HR department be approved as recommended by Amanda Fesenmeyer, HR Director.
So moved.
Second.
Do you want to comment? Okay.
Just wanted to, say thank you for the consideration for this. We're excited about it. We've got kind of a pipeline with you and I, and working closely with Professor Cornish of the Board of Health, and so, but open to anyone, any students that are interested in learning about HR in the public sector. The emphasis this year is on employee wellness and health activities, so I will have to kind of work out with Michelle a little bit just to make sure we have a dedicated home in our space and a desk and a computer and stuff like that. But it is a paid position, not to exceed 6 months, so at about $15 an hour. And thank you.
Yep, thank you. It's the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item G, resolution that the Board of Supervisors agrees to provide an amount not to exceed $200,000 from County General Fund reserves to the City of Gilbertville in the event that bids received for the City of Gilbertville's Emergency Management Building project exceed the funds available for said project.
So moved.
Second.
And moved and seconded. Oh, great. I was going to say, I was hoping you were going to step up and have an update or give us some information about the project, so thank you.
You bet. We had been here earlier and asked for some funds early this spring, and
Yes.
I'll give you a little update what's going on right now. The engineered cost, the last we had was about $2.96 million. When we went out for bids, we had 15 different contractors show up for a meeting, so we're very hopeful that we can get some quite competitive bids. We have some value-added options in there to reduce the cost, because as of right now, we have about $2.5 million of secured funds between a bond issue that we passed at 87% voter approval, fundraising, some funds we got from Blackhawk County Gaming, and most important was we have a $500,000 grant from Ashley Hinson office from the USDA Rural Development that we have to use and get going by this fall. And if we don't have that done, we're going to lose that $500,000. So we have about $2.5 million with our bonding right now. We're hoping the engineer is hope with the value-added options that we can get below the number that we need to be to make it happen. But we just want a little cushion in reserve just in case it comes into 2.6 or 2.7 that we may not have enough money, and if we don't act and get it done, that we'd be short and not able to do the project and lose the $500,000 grant. Just a reminder, 97% of our fire calls are outside the city of Gilbertville. 79% that we cover, another 18% are mutual aid. 68% of our medical calls are to Blackhawk County, and our population is 72% of the county. We do have Washburn, Cedar Terrace, and the biggest call out area that we have is the I-380 and 20 interchange out there, so we have a lot of calls out to the interstate. So once again, the majority of the calls are not within our territory, they're outside within the county itself. So we're just doing anything help we can get, and this is just kind of our little safety net, I guess, if you want to call it, to make sure that we can proceed with the project. And the value-added things we're going to do is something like not finish the interior of the meeting room and that area of the station as or the emergency management building. We're going to finish the entire fire department bays. That'll be done to completion to specs as just some of the interior finishes. Maybe we'll do our own painting. We'll do some of our own hanging sheetrock. That type of stuff is what we hope to be able to do with the value added if they come in at a low enough option. That's our plan, to do that. Then we can do that, continue fundraising, volunteer for that type of work.
So are they bidding on the whole entire project, or are they bidding on phases?
They're bidding on the entire project with options We put 4 or 5 different options, it's not pave the entire parking lot, only pave part of it, use gravel, whatever we can do to make sure that we can get this down to a number that we can fund, so.
Okay.
So that, the engineer gave them 5 different options on top of just the full package, so.
What is the date that the federal dollars expire?
The end of this year, so we
The
have
end
to
of the
have, we have to have the project started this year.
December.
It started. Okay.
Super.
And we open bids on next Monday, the
Yes,
17th.
that's right, yeah. I know you, when I sent the email earlier, it's because you were talking about the ARPA funds, I think.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things I think we'd initially thought about was utilizing ARPA funds. Some of our discussions here have been, no understanding and knowing what our projects were gonna come in at and holding off a little bit because we have, as you know, had other requests too for funding. So I know, when, kind of in response to the email I sent, you went for the reserves question, and
Yep.
I'd like to hear what the board's thoughts are on this, but I did want to ask you this, Scott, first, because initially when I said it was premature, I was hoping that we'd get the board together today for a discussion and kind of talk about this and seeing, my initial question was like, okay, can we loan them in a case of an emergency if we couldn't do funding? And I was going to ask Michelle that and just other questions, but I think Tavis got it on the agenda before I had the chance to answer ask those questions. But if we were to wait to vote until next week, next Tuesday, because I know you would know then the bids are in on Monday, and that was going to be a question I asked of you. Would that be soon enough, or what? I know you're trying to be proactive.
Yeah,
I understand
yeah.
that.
We're trying to make sure that we need to make a decision next week so we can get started, so we can get, as soon as possible
Sure.
to get the project going, so we do continue to make sure we get the funds. That's kind of our timeline is tight, but
Yes,
we've been
right.
that's why we've been coming and asking, and been some due diligence to see if we can get something done. We need to make sure we get this facility in place. So
Now,
I don't know the answer to that question. I can't give you an exact answer if that works or not, but I mean, we can sure share that with you and information as well, but we'll know next Monday.
well, yeah, that was my one question. I thought too, if you knew next Monday and we found out, like I say, because we could certainly put it on our agenda for Tuesday and pull it
Yeah.
if you didn't need us, something like that, and still be helpful to you. I wanted to do that, but my primary reasons for it weren't to slow you down on the project at all. It was that I would still like to see us, and this is just for the board's discussion if we want, but I just thought, use ARPA dollars for these types of projects rather than reserves, since we haven't talked about using our reserves and to how we were going to use it and to what level of funding we wanted and for what kinds of projects and that types of thing. And I thought the extra week is why I was just wanting to wait a week on it, was because I wanted Mike to check into the legal issues of it and see, if we were doing something that we shouldn't be, or just making sure the county was cautious and not taking risk where we shouldn't if we use reserves for that. And asking Michelle then to do the financial picture for us to say, here's what we've kind of committed in our ARPA dollars and here's what we may have left. And if not, then maybe we have to look at reserves. But that was where I was wanting to avoid using reserves till we had our discussion here as a board, if we would all just, and use the ARP dollars. That was really all for these kinds of projects. I know we had a lot of the communities come through with their own other projects too, and we've kind of been telling everyone if they could just wait till we got our numbers, and our numbers didn't come in as fast as we wanted as well, so we're dragging our feet, it seems like, on that. But it wasn't to slow down projects, it's just that we were waiting on our own. But if we have an idea or good estimates, I think, of where we are and where we be and what we have, at least we can make to me, I thought, a more accurate or closer assessment then, and just gauge it by that. And if it needs to go to be reserves, I guess that's a decision for the board to make. But I wanted the board's thoughts on that. Would that be acceptable to just wait for that to make sure we've crossed our Ts and dotted our Is, I guess, for reserve money?
I mean, I guess, to be honest, I'm comfortable using reserves. We rolled over certainly in excess of this dollar amount from last year's budget into this year. So our residents have already been taxed on these dollars. And,
I agree.
we hear quite often from every board member that our reserves are too large. And I believe that they are. And I think that this is the sort of community-based project that merits consideration of the fund use. ARPA, we've had exhaustive conversations about what our capacity is with ARPA, and we've got still large projects. Quite frankly, I don't think we're going to have an idea in the next week, 2 weeks, 4 weeks 6 weeks, 8 weeks, on where some of these really major, we've got a public health conversation in regards to our ARPA dollars. That I'm not comfortable with delaying further on some of these sorts of projects. I mean, you all presented February or March? March. And I get that theoretically, we would have been able to say, yes, let's use ARPA, but if that was a consideration 6 months ago, then that frankly should have been the conversation over the last 6 months. So I'm still comfortable with the idea of using general funds for the project. I like the idea of the dollar amount not to exceed, so that we can make sure that and provide stability as they review those responses next week. And I think it demonstrates that the board is a community partner with communities across the county.
Well, yes, I wouldn't dispute the being a community partner, and I would argue with you, I guess, the taxpayer dollars that we have collected that project was not included in what we taxed people for. Just to say that when we budget money and we ask taxpayers to pay their taxes, that was not a budgeted amount and that was not included, and that's why us starting to spend those reserves is something I think it's taxpayers' savings that we're looking at, so I just wanted to be very...
And I believe it benefits taxpayers.
It does. It doesn't benefit probably every taxpayer that's paid it in Blackhawk County, but I don't want to get into that. That's the philosophical kind of stuff I guess we want to talk about. Sure. It's fine. I'm just saying that I'm not wanting to deny the project in that sense. It's just using the different sort of funds, and I thought, well, you mentioned the projects that we're going to have that are the large ones. Those will benefit from the standpoint we're looking at a public health clinic and that type of thing, are taxpayer dollars that have been allocated. So if we were to use those from reserves and have the ARPA dollars, for these types of projects and the others that have made, like I said, we've had requests from several, and somebody's keeping track of all those, that there are several that are going to be coming forward, I think, too, and have been waiting patiently for us to make some decisions on our projects. But that was all. It wasn't to dispute the project or helping with you at all, Scott, and going forward. It was just the time to answer questions from a legal and financial perspective so that we were all comfortable with what kind of going into it, knowing what it was, and not using reserves first.
The only question for me was the amount. Now we have an amount.
200,000, you mean? Or yeah.
And the one thing, Linda, you had mentioned about the borrowing or whatever too, our capacity is the 1.25, that was our capacity. That's why that's the amount that we did the bond for, because that's, otherwise we'd be over the recommended amount to not exceed for the city. So that's why that dollar amount was chosen instead of 1.4, 1.5. That's just where we're at. We've been fortunate. We've got our water and sewer projects already done and in the process for the last 10 years, and new well house and new water tower and our sewer plant's all done, so we were ahead of the game than most people in the area on that. So fortunately, but that's tied up a lot of our bonding capacities. Of geo bonding, we still have some revenue bonds out there, obviously.
Yeah, thank you.
I do think that, well, this won't serve the entire county, that they have done a good job of demonstrating the high volume of service calls that they do for that area, and I think they've done a really great job of kind of piecing these funds together. I really, because I remember when this project first came to us, I was really not sure you guys were going to be able to get to the finish line, but you guys have done an excellent job of getting us to this point here today, and I appreciate that you're sending the bids out, willing to scale some parts back if you need to get it done. And so I can't think that there would be any legal questions about using reserve funding for this.
So the legal question came up a little bit late last week to me, and because of scheduling and other hot button items in front of it, I didn't get a formal answer. But to Mr. Schwartz's point, it's hard for me to imagine that there would be a legal block to providing this funding. I'm not trying to recommend anything. I'm just saying it's hard for me to imagine that there would be any illegality in doing this. I think of things like city pools and other things that we've given. We've provided funding for. This, as Mr. Schwartz said, the board can easily, if they want to support this, they can point to the fact that there's a larger county benefit because we've got rural residents, and I believe even out of district residents being served by the services of this fire department.
And I'm hopeful I never have to utilize.
Yeah.
But I travel 380. We all travel
That's
380
what
quite a
I'm-
bit.
yeah.
So it is
It's all
a
possible.
county. There is county benefit for everyone here.
It is.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a benefit. Mr. Little, have you comments or questions or?
Well, in my opinion, it's an excellent project. Their overlap of what they cover is the same way with the other towns, like Evansdale covers 380 in the other areas, and so does LaPorte and so forth. I've never been a fan of using reserve money for another taxing entity. I don't know if we've ever done that on the Board of Supervisors. We worked hard over the years of building those reserves up through good fiscal planning and sacrifices by our departments. And we had our own, my thought was we should always take care of our own departments because they tax, we tax. We had our sheriff's department with a project that we didn't want to spend ARPA money on. But yet they told us that it's a safety health factor and that it's going to have to be done. Well, if we're not going to use ARPA funds for that, it's going to have to come out of the funds or reserves. We're going to have to raise taxes or we're going to have to bond for it. And that costs the county then. So again, nothing against Gilbertville. They do an excellent job over there. I know the council and the mayor personally, but I have trouble funding another taxing entity when we have an obligation on the Board of Supervisors to take care of our county departments. And this sheriff's building that was brought to us, we're going to have to address that. And I think we should be addressing items like that first before we start looking out, because you're going to wake up one of these days and that reserve ain't going to be there. And that's when you raise taxes or cut services. So, I wish we could use ARPA funding because ARPA funding is for public safety. But then again, we're going to have every town, Evansdale, LaPorte, Dunkerton, they're all going to come request. They probably still will now that we're funding one. So I just think we should take care of our own county departments first.
Okay, thank you. I know they did, initially, we did have, I think all but one of the communities did go through with the project and did a request after we did the water sewer issue, so they're
Yeah.
probably still, whether that may have changed their needs or requests, but that was something they did go through. Let me propose this, just to see what your thoughts are. I know there's some of you very comfortable with using the county reserves. How would everyone feel about using ARPA dollars? And at least utilizing the county reserves if we needed to shift any money, knowing we'd be using for public health or whatever. I don't know, just throwing that out. Since we don't want to delay on taking.
Would that require additional Baker Tilly feedback? Would that, if we were to go first and foremost ARPA and then reserves in the event that ARPA didn't cover, does that trigger some Baker Tilly stuff that in the meantime, I guess if your motion, if what you're saying, what you're suggesting is to use primarily ARPA in the event that ARPA is not eligible for these dollars or there's an issue, then to use reserves, am I hearing that right?
Mike, I was gonna say, you or Michelle, either one, public safety was a possible use, correct, or not? Or maybe I'm all off.
Public safety, public health, which I
Yeah,
see
public
this, I certainly see this potentially qualifying under those types of grounds. But it really depends on where the board, what ARPA dollars the board wants to use. If you use what we've called lost revenue, replacement revenue dollars, then we're really not going to need a qualification here. But if you want it to fall under the expense category funds, our procedure in the past has been to run this through Baker Tilly, get an evaluation. They've been pretty quick about it, but you're talking probably 2-3 weeks before we have that evaluation, and we'd have to work up a questionnaire prior to then as well so that they understand exactly what's going on. So you're probably talking about a delay of 3 to 4 weeks if you're going under expense category.
Well, I'm not. I was going to say, Michelle, that's my question. I guess the next one is the lost revenue or the revenue loss side of it, as far as utilizing that.
So maybe next week we should have an ARPA update. We have about 2.4 million that's undesignated right now. And some big changes have happened since they were here in March. I mean, we now have the treasurer's office and the elections and auditors. We do have architects under contract, and we do have construction estimates from them. Public health is coming along. We're a little, not quite as far along, so there's more to come on that. But we have, when I say 2.4, that's of all our money. So we would have the ability to switch to lost revenue, because I know people talk about public safety being covered by ARPA, but buildings are
Not.
a different kind of category. It's not that it might not be covered, but those require more justification to use the ARPA expense category. So I think once we move forward with public health, I think we're going to be well into our lost revenue portion anyway. So it probably, it's 6 1 half knows the other if you choose to use the replacement revenue for this request.
Well, and my thought process was on just public health clinic, the fact that that does serve all of Blackhawk County. That's as
That's
many
the-
as we can. So if I needed to use reserves for that or wanted to,
Right,
or we
at least
decided
it's a
to,
county.
that would be a easier one
Yes.
maybe, so. But
Yeah.
the lost revenue wouldn't require the 2 or 3 weeks or 6 weeks or
No.
whatever it requires, so we would be able to do that, so. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mike, too. Thoughts?
Yeah, no, I'm comfortable with lost revenue because I'm hearing a sentiment that I share, that if we need to use reserves to get the public health clinic done, that we will have a willingness on the board to do that. That's why I've been so protective of the raising ARPA dollars, because I don't want to get to the point that we're coming up short and then there's not a desire to use our reserves to get across the finish line, because I think that's the most important ARPA project that we're going to take on. That's most in the spirit of the bill. Yes, public safety is part of it, but public health was first and foremost the spirit of that legislation. So it's if I'm hearing a willingness that if we need to use reserves to get the public health clinic done, then I'm comfortable with lost revenue. Moving forward with that today. But,
I'm comfortable with lost revenue, as well as the source of the funds.
Okay.
I don't care where it comes from, as long as we commit to it.
There you go. Yep.
Tom?
Yeah, lost revenue is fine because I think that's what the money's earmarked for. But again, this will be the first of many requests that we're going to have to go through. I personally am going to talk to Mark Herbst this week to see if he wants to re-enter his request to the board for the building that was a health issue, and put it on the agenda for the council or for the board to decide one way or the other again.
I'd like to interject
But
one
at
thing.
least if,
Hopefully we don't
at
need
least
the
if it
money.
goes to the health department, that's one of our departments that we need to be taken care of. So I agree that we need to address them too. That's why I said earlier, we need to take care of home first before we start looking outside.
Thank you, Tom. Well,
I was just gonna say, hopefully we don't need it. There's a chance that
Yeah.
we may not need zero the dollars. We just want to have, the ability to get the project done. Like I said, it serves so much besides just the city of Gilbertville. That's we may not need
And
none
if
of the
it
money.
does come in higher, I assume you probably have a backup plan for that perhaps a little
We
bit?
we'll be scrambling like crazy.
That's what yeah.
The engineer thinks that we're going to be close with what we've added and in the ballpark. And like I said, this was just kind of a cover yourself just in case it doesn't happen. And then, maybe it's 25, maybe it's 50, it may not be this full 200. We just don't know. And we just want to be able to move forward if it comes in slightly above what we have. That's kind of where we're at.
Yeah, no, and that's what I understood you do. I just was trying to buy some time to have this discussion, but this did it. Okay, so, all right, thank you.
Do I need to amend the motion that the Board of Supervisors agrees to provide an amount not to exceed $200,000 from lost revenue to the city of Gilbertville in the event that bids received from the city of Gilbertville's emergency management building project exceed the funds available for said project.
So we need another motion and second, or is that good enough for Grant? You'll make the amendment?
I think I seconded it, so
Okay.
I'm good with that.
All right.
I guess I would just add lost revenue ARPA dollars.
Oh, ARPA,
Otherwise.
yeah, thank you for clarification. Lost revenue, yeah. It's kind of like- Thank you. All right, this is a resolution. Please answer as your name is called.
Schwartz,
Yes.
Jelka,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Little,
Yes.
Leyland.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Appreciate it.
you.
We'll let you know.
And
on,
good luck.
next
I hope you
Tuesday
don't
whether
need it,
myself
but-
or Jeff or
Yeah,
somebody-
please.
Or Mark will try to be here, let you know exactly where we ended up.
It'd be great.
We have, I'm not sure if we'll be able to act that night to accept all the bids. The engineers are going to have to go through them all to make sure, but we're going to give you an idea exactly where we're going to be at within, a few dollars if we check all the bids out. So
Sure.
Thank you.
Get 15,
Thank
it'll
you.
take you a while.
Yeah.
That's good. That's great. I wish we could get those
Yeah.
numbers. All right, the time is 9:37. It's the hearing and a bid opening on the proposed purchase of 2 single axle dump trucks and 1 tandem axle dump truck.
So moved?
Second.
Or I guess.
Great, no, do it. I'm
right.
fine to move forward. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Item 2, motion to close the hearing after oral and written
So moved.
comments are received.
Second.
Mr. Veeder, are there any written comments?
No, man.
Okay, super. Kathy, any oral comments?
No.
Motion, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Item 3 is bids to be received, opened and bid. The bid deadline was 3 PM on Monday, September 11th, 2023. $15 of them there? Any
We
chance?
received one bid yesterday, so it was received by 3 PM. I should point out, and I did make a comment on your form, that this, our engineer's estimate is really our budget amount of $575,000. And that was budgeted over 2 fiscal years, and at that time, we included the chassis and the snow equipment. This bid today is only for the chassis. I've told you how truck companies are different than they were 3 years ago. So this includes only the chassis. The first bid is from Truck Center Companies, Elk Run Heights, Iowa. $366,855, 0 cents. 366,855.00. And that's for both two singles and 1 tandem.
Yes, we're done. That's it. Okay. Motion that the Board of Supervisors review and place on file the bids to allow time to review the bid as recommended by Catherine Nicholas.
So moved?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Kathy. The time is now 9:40. We're having a hearing bid opening on proposed purchase of 1 tractor with a boom mower. Motion? Go
moved.
ahead. Favor?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 2, motion to close the hearing after oral and written comments are received.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Veeder, are there any written comments?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I,
Opposed, same sign. Item 3, bids to be received, opened and read. Bid deadline was 3 PM Monday, September 11, 2023.
3 bids were received yesterday morning. The first bid from P&K Midwest, Waterloo, Iowa. The total bid amount is $209,015.22. 209,015.22. Second bid, Diamond Mowers Incorporated, Sioux Falls, South Dakota, $211,150. 211,150.00. The third bid from Diekey Implement Company, Waverly, Iowa, $224,100. 224,100.00. That's all.
Okay. Thank you, Kathy. Motion that the Board of Supervisors review and place on file the bids to allow time to review said bids as recommended by Catherine Nicholas, County
So moved.
Engineer.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I,
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 10, any reports or information from the board? Oh, okay. Any motions for adjournment?
So moved.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.
thank you.
Thank you. Next week, no. I hope. He's afraid he might miss his wedding, Chris. I'm coughing a little bit.